Hello everyone, welcome back to A City Planner Plays City Builders. We are playing City Skylines and building the city of Bluffside Crossing. If you recall, when we left off, we were focusing on the the transit network, and I mentioned that in this episode I wanted to focus on building a bicycle network. So, a couple things to think about when building a bicycle network. Number one, we want to make it as prioritized as we can, and we want to make sure that it provides routes, preferably routes that will connect to every portion of the community, not just key destinations, but really every portion of the community. So I'm going to start in the downtown area, and I have downloaded a couple mods that make this connection a little easier. But before I get there, I do want to talk about one thing, and that is the cost of roadways. So you'll notice that throughout most of the city, I have this normal 2-lane road, and it costs 32 cents a week in upkeep and 40 cents a sell. And if you look over here at the 2-lane road with bike lanes, it is the exact same price. So there is no financial hit to upgrading to these roadways. So it's really in your best interest to include them where you can. And really missing them is a huge omission. Another thing to contemplate is when you install these pedestrian overpasses with the vanilla paths. The normal path allows pedestrians, and the bicycle path allows bicycles. So there is no multi-user path, and as a result of that, I've downloaded a number of assets. The one in particular that I downloaded is it's a multi-user path. So let me find that. I have it selected already. So one of the nice things about these paths are that you can, similar to roads, upgrade. So I'm going to upgrade some of these paths to be multi-user paths so that we can have the benefits of biking right off the bat. And then I can just upgrade some of these roads. So what I'm going to do in the downtown area is I'm going to try to parallel some of these main arterials, hit areas of density, also hit some core destinations so that people could bike to transit if they wanted to, and then go through some of these neighborhoods. And I want to make sure that I'm looping wherever I'm going. So I'm going to start out here. So I have that connection to the path. And I want to make sure I can connect up to this path and to the gondola over here. Unfortunately, upgrading some of these will demolish some of the buildings. And I'm also going to loop back down to complete this network. I want to be able to access the other gondola. So I'm going to continue to upgrade. And then we'll go along the park, providing access to the park. And I want to have a parallel to this main collector. So I'm going to flare this out over here. And make sure that my park connection reaches. And I'm going to pause for a second while we do this because I want to be able to think about this and gain a little bit of speed boost as well. Okay. So now we're going up here. So we'll go down this local road. Now in real life, I don't know that I would ever recommend a bike lane on a local road, sharrows to reinforce that it's a shared space is probably good enough. But in city skylines, you do gain benefit by having the designated bike facility, so I will do that here. Okay, so we have a pretty good network going over there. Now we're crossing the road over here. And unfortunately, our local road network isn't great. But I think we can get past some of those issues. So first, let's make sure that we're going to make a connection to the other network. And you'll see that I kind of have a circuitous route over here. What I think might be beneficial would be to go through and actually add a couple connections through here. So I want to give the ability to actually connect up through. I'll use move it to make sure that I don't have any zoning issues. To get over to the bus depot. Just so it's a little easier to see what's going on here. Throw all those back on. And now we can see if there are any weird zoning issues that cropped up because of that, which there inevitably will be. Okay, so now there's a connection there, and the trail kind of terminates there, but that's okay. This one's going to a specific destination. All right, so next we have this loop, and we're meeting up with what is currently a pedestrian path. Now, when I built this initially, I didn't have topography on, and you can kind of see, so if each line is a foot, some of these are dropping fairly quickly. So I think we're going to redo this path entirely. We know where we want to go. We just got to figure out a better way to get there. So I'll turn anarchy off to try to make this as realistic as possible. So we're going to try to not go up too quickly up these slope, so what that unfortunately might mean is that we are kind of looping back and forth to make sure that we're not going up too quickly and respecting the topography a bit. But ultimately what this will do is make the entire trail more accessible. Now we can kind of follow our topography. I think make a pretty smooth connection. Okay. Let's turn that off and take a look. So you can see it's a lot more meandering, but the curves are generally more graceful. So I like, even though this looks crazy in comparison to the old one, I like it a lot more. Maybe a couple places to improve with some terraforming, but like I mentioned in other episodes and was pointed out in the comments, whoa, terraforming in real life is incredibly expensive. Being able to move soil is generally prohibitively expensive. It's not something that you can do with little thought. Struggling just a little bit to be able to get rid of that kind of wonky bit there. That seems like it did the trick. It's probably a little bit more of a slope there than I'd prefer, but that's okay. All right. So now the nice thing is we have a parallel road that meets up with this that kind of goes behind the high school. So let's continue our upgrades. And here, I try not to do this too much, but I might have to, just because we don't really have much else built for the network. I'm adding the bike facilities directly on the collector. Now this is actually interesting because I know that one of the policies that I personally, in the community I work for, push for is adding bike facilities on all collector and local roads. You might wonder, well, why? Well, when you're retrofitting it into a community, there's generally a lot of extra right-of-way on larger roads like this that can be used for bike lanes. You can also remove parking if that's what you want to do. So there's just a lot more city-owned land to work with. In this game, unfortunately, you lose trees, and that is not something I would ever advocate for. Especially, thinking about all of the environmental impacts that we're seeing in communities right now. The urban heat island effect, and just general climate change that's leading to flooding in communities and resiliency activities that are difficult to manage and very expensive and can really gobble up a city's entire budget. And I know that can be a controversial topic. Unfortunately, it's something that local communities are dealing with, and might as well be upfront about that. We actually have a whole task force that we're utilizing to try to remedy some of these issues, because it's becoming so expensive, not just for the city, but also for individual business and homeowners in the community. And we need to be cognizant of that, because it makes the community a less desirable place to do business. So we certainly that's not our preferred outcome, having people decide our city is too expensive to do business in because it floods. So I think I am going to end it here. Kind of reaching a major destination. Unfortunately, you can kind of see I have a problem here, and that is my transit network has made it impossible to get over to the harbor. The bikers will bike on sidewalks. I haven't put in a policy that bans that, so we should be okay. I just want to avoid that whenever I can. I want there to be as much incentive to bike as there could possibly be. So going back to the downtown area, I want to find a way to connect this trail over here to this trail over here. So what I think we're going to do, again, is turn on our contours and try to grade out a nice slope here so that we can have the path go down. Might need to turn the strength down here a little bit. It's not perfect, but it's certainly better, and I can fix it a little bit more later. So I'm going to cut these contours diagonally to make it a little bit more reasonable of a grade change to make. And now that I have, now that I have that done, I can improve this a little bit. Okay, so I turned the strength down and I shrunk that up to try to be able to make that a little bit nicer of a slope there. And then I think what the game plan is going to be is to get alongside the tram line there. Because the grades there are already really favorable for this. And if they're not, they should be fairly easy to remedy. And the remedy thing might be what I'm doing, because you can kind of see I'm sticking with the slope of the bluff here, and that's not very good for cycling. The angle's kind of messing things up here a little bit, so I'll turn that off for a second. Now I want to, to be realistic with this, you wouldn't go and demolish a whole bunch of homes for no reason. So you would probably cut behind them. And in reality, you might have easements onto these properties into their backyard. So it might appear to be their property, but in all actuality, it's not. It's it's theirs, but there's an easement. And what an easement is it's a document that grants certain rights for other uses on someone's private property. And you might ask, well, why would you ever do that? Well, it might mean that you get the benefit of, certain things about that property that you might not otherwise get. So in some cases, there's easements for stormwater, and maybe you end up with a very large lot as a result of providing that easement. So there are reasons why people do it. It just depends on the city. So here's one case where I will take down some homes. Okay. Why don't we just finish off the connection here, and then I will fix the grades. So the main thing I was considering here was that I might be able to make a connection up with this road with an off-street connection, and I think I'm going to be able to do that fairly simply. This is pretty steep though, so we might need to do a little bit of winding to make it a little bit more manageable. And again, I'll probably, unfortunately, have to take out some homes here. Let's see. Maybe I can take this road. So I'm going to pause it for a second, because what I want to do is add a temporary road here so that I can upgrade this to be a normal road. Then I can eliminate this, and now you see the bike lane ends there. And then I'll have to rezone again, but it's much cleaner. So now let's get rid of the contours and take a look at where this doesn't look very nice. I know, super technical term there, but you know, that matters. I want it to look nice as well. Okay, and now it might be easier to actually use Move It to fix some of this, because what happened is basically I just put the trail on some land that was, you know, kind of challenging to work with, you know, and I'm not, for some reason it's not letting me modify this. So back to working with our standard toolbox. So just kind of lower this. And I want to try to get the path as level as I can without going too far. But it might actually just be easier to go a little too far and then bring it back up. So I am stealing the contours as I'm going through here, trying to raise up some of these areas as I'm going through. This is probably the most difficult portion of what we're doing. And if I contour this correctly, I might be able to get away with not using the softening terrain tool all that much, which would be nice. So one of the things I'm realizing as I'm going through this is you kind of got to go outside of the trail a little bit to be able to get the contours just right. And you know, it looks, oh, just a little bit too high, pretty much everywhere. So if I could redo this, I would probably pull this in just a scotch towards the tram. Speed this up. I'm gonna lower everything because I can bring it back up then. Okay. Just reduce the strength a little bit more here. Okay. You can kind of see it's smoothing out a little bit. Looks a lot better now. Okay. Spot where maybe I could have used a little bit more. This is kind of putsy, but truthfully, a lot more goes into the creation of multi-use paths than you might imagine. All of this stuff comes on engineering sheets generally, and every single portion of that trail is meticulously detailed down to where signs are going to be and the grades of every portion of the trail. We actually have a cut sheet of the entire trail. So it's a lot of work in the game, but it's even more work in reality. So and I know that I could do a lot of this lowering and leveling with the terrain softening tool. I'm personally not that good at it. Okay. So it's not perfect. Maybe I'll clean some of that up off camera, but it is significantly better. And this provides a connection that you can tell is already being utilized. Okay. So this loops all the way back down here. You can get across there. I think we're going to leave the airport out for now. We need to get across to our shopping center. So we'll make this connection. And then let's upgrade just a portion of our path network here. Okay. And then we'll provide a connection through to our park and ride. And again, we're going to have to, I could try to, sneak something in through here along the side, but I think it might simply be easier to get this connection to come up here. Now, we had this little stub here as a turnaround for the emergency services, but I think I'm going to actually keep this here now because we need to find a way to get up the mountain. But before I do that, one of the things that was mentioned in the comments was that it looked like this this turnaround here was going in the wrong direction. And you know what? It is. There's a cross there for no good reason. So why don't we reverse the direction of this? Looks like it took down some of the fences, unfortunately, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and add this grass and move a couple of our assets. Actually, we'll need to move our bus stops first. Maybe that'll fix itself. Okay. Not sure what it doesn't like, but a lot of that stuff will remedy itself. So we'll just leave that for now, and hopefully that'll get fixed. If it doesn't, I'll take a look at that offline and get that remedied. But I appreciate the comment. Now it does have a smooth motion in, and I will fix the issues that I've created offline. Next up, let's look at our contours again. Whoa, this is going to be a challenge if we can do it at all. I don't doubt that I could force something, but something that looks rational might be a challenge. Let's see what we can do. So again, gonna work and understanding that each one of those contours is a foot. Gonna work to not do more than a little bit at a time. And I have anarchy on and I want to get that off. So we're slowly working our way up, but there are a lot of contours to make it up. So I apologize, I know that this is a little difficult to see. Truthfully, I'm struggling a little bit myself, but we'll get a chance to get a good look at what we're working with momentarily. We are getting a little bit away from our ultimate destination, so we might need to cut back. I'd really like to end it by that legal building if I could. So made it. And it is not at all pretty, but I will work on that probably offline so as not to bore you all with the minutia of that again. But we're able to make the connection. So let's get the road network through here. And there'll be less that's needed here because one of the assets we used was this walking and biking trail through here. So the reason I was so keen to connect up in this area is now we have a network. So I'm going to probably just loop it back around down here and probably call it good. You know, there are some key connections, I guess, actually before I call it good. Let's make a connection to the gondola. Okay. So let's survey our trail. Whoa. I wouldn't want to ride right here. But I'll get that fixed offline. But that's the general path. We can smooth it out and have a nice grade up most of the path. So I am quite pleased with this. The last thing I would do that I already know that I've done would be to look at our policies and make sure that the encourage bicycling policy was on. Let's see what our traffic looks like now. We're at 82. So when this started, I didn't check, but I recall it being around 79%. There are certainly some other things that we need to do. There's a suburban neighborhood that we should connect up, and I might save that for a future video because that's going to take a little bit more work. And I think we might want to build out this neighborhood over here a little bit more and think about this neighborhood with bike lanes. Now that biking is a core amenity in the community, it's something that we should be willing to invest in. And that might mean something expensive like looping back around, going over this road, and connecting up with a neighborhood or a local street back here with a pretty significant bike overpass. But we will check that out. The other thing about this is I use the multi-user path here, but I would want to look to see if pedestrians are using this or not, because you can see that they're walking along this road already, so it might be a little bit overkill to have a multi-user path. Maybe this is just a bike path. Didn't contemplate that initially, but it's a good thought. Anyway, I'm very pleased with the way that this turned out. I hope that you guys are as well. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Did you like this? Are there places that you think I missed that I should really get connected? Do you think it was worthwhile in general? Once again, let's take a look at our traffic. We're doing okay. Are there areas that actually there are areas I didn't connect up to the industrial area at all. That's probably another area I want to get to. So, but we got a good backbone, and we can now fix this in the future and make it a little bit more comprehensive than it is now. So thanks so much for joining me. Please, if you like this video, consider giving it a like. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. And if you haven't already hit that notification bell to know when I release new videos, consider that as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.